Hello.
Hey, everyone.
If you are early, thank you for being early. We are just going to give everyone about 2 minutes to join, and also we're going to check all of our levels, make sure our sound is good, make sure you can see our screen. We're just going to move one of our slides here just to make sure that is visible. No spoilers or anything. Thank you so much for being with us. And I'm going to check with our tech guy to make sure that he can hear and see us. So, what's the weather like in Kernersville today?
Oh, it's beautiful. Spring has came. It's beautiful out today.
And our wonderful tech guy says that he can hear us. So that means that you guys can hear us. And that should be good. So I know that usually we have people from all across the country who join us on these and who also are signed up to our email list. Thank you so much. We've had students from join us in the actual classroom all across the country, right?
Yeah, we've had a couple come over from England. We've had as far out as Oregon, as far south as Texas. We've truly had students come from all different areas to train at
We had a
Coder Foundry.
Bostonian.
We did.
Time.
We
Yeah.
did. We
So
sure did. So we like all the different cultures that come in. We actually had one guy that grew up exploring the Egypt pyramids as a young child.
okay.
Yeah, so that was a cool story. He would tell me all about his adventures as a young adult in Egypt and kind of what he's doing now. It's kind of cool.
I think everyone who works at Coder Foundry always gets surprised at, I guess, the diversity of the students, people coming from all walks of life.
Yep.
We've had students who've had disability challenges, students who are older, students who are younger. It's just a really amazing experience.
Yep.
To see people go from one career to the next and actually experience that. But you've seen that a lot because of your career. So
Absolutely.
and it looks like it's 12. And we are going to get started. I just want to respect your time here. So we are going to get started right now.
Right.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our spring info session for Coder Foundry. If you are interested in coming into Coder Foundry, but you have questions, if you've read our website, but you still want to know more, if you haven't been able to come to our open house or come for a walkthrough session, and you want to meet some of the staff of Coder Foundry, you are in the right place. Over the next few minutes, we are going to give you everything you need to know in order to make the choice about whether you want to come into Coder Foundry. We're going to talk about our curriculum. We are going to talk about our job placement services. And we are going to talk about our flexible tuition services. So stick with us, break out a pen, take notes. We'll also give you an opportunity to ask us questions through a contact form later if you need to. But thank you for joining us. And we're starting right now. So we have two people on today. The first person we'll introduce you to is Natasha Sanders. And Natasha, oops. Natasha, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I've been with Coder Foundry now for 3 years. I work with students on enrollment and also primarily their job focus after the program. So every day I'm out talking with employers. I am taking requisitions that current employers are needing, and I'm basically connecting them with the alumni that are currently in our cohorts or the alumni that have maybe found new employment, but they are ready for their job number 2 or job number 3. So we have a really active alumni network, and then I keep a strong pipeline of job recs coming out of the local market. I've been a headhunter for about 17 years now, so in the triad. So just have a good wealth of information about this area and the needs regarding .NET here.
Excellent. And I believe you told me some good news this morning. You have another employer who wants to look at some Coder Foundry students.
Yeah. We received I received a call back from an employee I had reached out to yesterday. They are looking to bring on a mid-level .NET resource for their Raleigh team. So I have quite a few alumni that live in Raleigh now, and then I have a few future alumni that are coming out of the program. Their official last day is tomorrow, that will also open to Raleigh. So I'll be presenting them this afternoon for consideration to be hired on as a direct hire.
That is super exciting. And myself, I am the director of community and content. So, any of the meetups that we have here, I handle any of the videos or the anything you've seen on the website, I handle. And my job is to make sure that you get all the information you need about Coder Foundry, and also that you get to, learn how to code and get your feet wet at one of our meetups or one of our trainings, so that you can discover whether you're right for Coder Foundry. So my name is Hashim Warren, and that's my job. So this is Bobby Davis. He is our founder of Coder Foundry, and Bobby Davis is an entrepreneur. He started several companies, several software companies, and at his software companies, he had a problem over and over again. He couldn't find enough developers to work in his jobs. Even when he would interview computer science grads, they would need on-the-job training. But when you're running a fast-growing small company, you don't really have the infrastructure to do on-the-job training. You want people who are ready on day one to contribute to your company. So Bobby Davis, he created Coder Foundry to train people to be ready on day one in a job. So everything that we're telling you today is structured to make sure that you are able to participate in a dev shop immediately when you get there. So this is one of the companies that Bobby Davis built. It's called Cortex. It's a software consultancy. Cortex has built software for municipalities to collect taxes. They've built software for banks and financial institutions. They've built software for just a wide array of companies. And Bobby also created a company called Advanced Fraud Solutions. And Advanced Fraud Solutions sells anti-fraud software to financial institutions. And Advanced Fraud Solutions has been wildly successful, been on the Inc. 5000 list 3 years in a row. And excuse me. And also their software is used across the country. So if you have cashed a check in the last 10 years, your data has probably been protected by Advanced Fraud Solutions. That's how widely used their software is. And Bobby Davis created version 1 of that software and also founded the company. So if you are interested in coming to Coder Foundry, there is no other school or training program that was created or built by a software entrepreneur like Bobby Davis. So everything we teach you is very, very close to industry, because Bobby Davis is of industry, and his friends, his fellow entrepreneurs, they are of industry. So everything we teach you here is very close to that. So that's our little introduction to Coder Foundry. Let's dive deep into exactly what we give you here. And we call this, actually, let's start out with our location here. We are in the Triad, North Carolina. And if you're outside of North Carolina, then just understand that the Triad is a collection of 3 major cities: Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and High Point, and the cities that surround them that make up the Triad. So we are in Kernersville in North Carolina, in a beautiful location that is really comfortable and low cost if you're coming from out of town and decide to actually live here for the 12 weeks. Natasha, can you tell us more about kind of living options if you're coming from out of town?
Yeah, so we have a great housing packet that I can provide to you. If you're looking for a 3-month long-term stay, there are 2 providers locally that have a furnished apartment. So if you really want that full home feel, you can look into those options. If you're looking more just like a room, you can always do Airbnb, which I can refer you to. And then we have corporate rate agreements with multiple hotels in the area, everything from an extended stay that provides breakfast every morning to a more upfitted that has a suite with a living area along with a bedroom suite. So it's kind of what's your price point and what you're wanting from the stay. There's multiple options that I can provide you within our housing package, that I'll be happy to share.
We've had students from Texas take advantage of the Airbnb. some of those options. We've had students from New York take advantage of some of those options, Florida, Georgia,
Yep.
so on and so forth. So if you're interested in that, Natasha can give you more information about it. Our program starts on April 8th and it is 12 weeks and it's in person. When you come to Coder Foundry, we really pack a lot into those 12 weeks. You get about 600 hours of coding experience. So we are heavy on hands on the keyboard, figuring out problems with code, and light on, look at the board instruction. So if you've never been to a program like this before, if you've only been to, let's say, a college program, it may be a little strange to you. You might wonder, can I do something like this part-time and on the weekends? And with the type of program that we have, where we make sure that you are ready for a job as soon as you graduate, the immersive way is the only way to go. Come to our school 9 to 5, and we will give you an experience that is very similar to what you experience at a job. So our program starts April 8th. So if you're interested, you have just a few more days in order to talk to Natasha to start your engines. So we'll talk about exactly how you can do that in a minute, but let's go into more of what our program has for you. And we call this our 3 guarantees. So we can't guarantee you a job at Coder Foundry. What we can guarantee you is a few things that will lead to you getting a job. So I hope you follow me with this. The first guarantee that we give you is that you will learn the most in-demand technology today. So at Coder Foundry, this is what we teach. We teach you .NET, which includes C# as the language, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, SQL, and also Xamarin. And if you've never heard of any of these languages before, if this is just all looks like alphabet soup to you, we're going to explain a little bit more of what this is and why it's in demand. But this is what we teach at Coder Foundry. So .NET is a framework created by Microsoft in order for developers to build web applications. Excuse me. And .NET follows helps you to build a web application using the model view controller software pattern. And all MVC or model view controller software patterns, they have front ends, back ends, and they use a database. So with .NET, the front end that you create will use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The back end that you create will be powered by C#, and the database that you use will be SQL. So that's what .NET gives you. So when you're searching for jobs and when you're trying to figure out what coding language to study, don't just search for JavaScript jobs or C# jobs. Search for .NET jobs, and within that, to be qualified for that job, you'll actually learn all of these technologies there. So let's get more specific. Like, why do we teach .NET? And we teach .NET because Robert Half, which is a recruiting company for software developers, Robert Half, they put out a report every year about what their CIOs are looking for. And if you look at this slide here, you'll see that it's very similar to this slide. So Robert Half says that CIOs are looking for people who know C#, who know Microsoft SQL Server, who know .NET. These are some of the most in-demand technologies for the companies that Robert Half works with. And guess what? These are the exact technologies that we teach you. So that's why we teach .NET. We teach .NET because it will give you your best first shot at getting a job. The second thing is to go outside of Robert Half, just to go to Indeed.com. If you search on Indeed.com for different web frameworks or web stacks, you'll see that .NET is the one that has the most open positions. So if you compare it to Ruby on Rails or to Django or to Laravel, .NET blows them away. What's even more impressive is that if you go to Indeed and you search .NET developer, and then you filter it by entry-level positions, you'll see that there are as many .NET entry-level positions as there are Ruby on Rails positions, period. So .NET is truly the best framework to learn if you are coming out of a boot camp or any type of program and you're going to be a junior developer. These are some of the large companies that hire .NET developers. Some of my favorite brands, because I'm from New York, so the Yankees who are playing today, they hired .NET. JP Morgan, which I have friends who work there, they hired .NET developers. Bank of America, NFL, they all hire .NET developers. You may have heard of some of these companies. So Course Report is a third-party website that you may have seen that reports news on coding boot camps, and they surveyed our students and students from a lot of other different boot camps. And they asked them, "Hey, do you have a job? What did you study? How quickly did you get a job?" And Course Report found that students who learn C# at a boot camp are most likely to be employed as a developer after graduation. So that's compared to boot camps that teach Node, boot camps that teach Ruby. Their graduates don't get hired at a as high rate as students who learn C# at a boot camp. So you are making the right decision if you go to a boot camp that teaches .NET C#, and we are the best ones, the best boot camp that teaches .NET and C#. So if you've been learning online, you'll also find that our program is very different. Like I said before, our program is 12 weeks, 9 to 5, and we create a program so that it is a workplace simulation where everything that you experience at a job, you'll experience at Coder Foundry. So again, you'll be ready on day one at a job to be able to participate. So the problem with online tutorials, if that's all you've been doing so far, is that you'll probably recognize that they don't teach you mindset and workflow. At Coder Foundry, you have a deadline for each one of your projects, and you have to get it done. What does it take for you to get a project done by that Monday morning when your instructor needs to look at it? Does it take you working late on Sunday? Does it take 3 cups of coffee a day? Whatever that is, that's what you learn at Coder Foundry, and that's what we'll train you in. So we found that online programs like Udacity, they self-report that only 2% of the people who take their program actually finish this. And we believe that other online programs that are like Udacity, like Udemy and other programs, you'll probably notice that other people that either yourself or other people you know just have a very low completion rate. At Coder Foundry, we have an almost 90% completion rate because we're an in-person program and we give you all the encouragement and structure that you need in order to be successful in our program. So this is what our program looks like. You'll be one of these students sitting here, either getting help from a teacher, or as you can see in the back, very frustrated with your code or leaning into your code, trying to figure it out. Anytime that you have a problem, a teacher will actually come up to you and help you through that problem. And I've seen this with my own eyes. Sometimes a student will ask a question, and the answer from the instructor is work on it a little bit longer. You're almost there. Just struggle with it a little bit longer. Or sometimes the answer is, you know what, you're focused on the wrong thing. Focus on this instead, and just put that aside. Or the answer might be, you know what, I'm hearing this a lot today. Let me go to the front of the class, teach this concept a little bit more, and maybe that'll help you along the way. This is not something that you're really able to receive in an online program. And also instructors don't have as much time to do that with, let's say, a part-time program. So this is what you receive in a full-time program like ours at Coder Foundry. Live, in-person, expert instruction from teachers who will be able to get you unstuck right away. So A Yang, one of our favorite students, he left us a great review where he said that I learned a lot compared to going to college and getting a degree. A Yang actually had a CSE degree from a college here. And A says that I learned more in a month compared to 4 years at the university I went to. For me, literally, I code every day. I code 10 hours a day from 9 to 5, and I added extra 3 hours after that. A was so discouraged after getting his degree and not being able to find a job. He heard from another student of a classmate of his who came to Coder Foundry and got a job. He heard about Coder Foundry from that student. And A Yang decided to come and he got a job. So both him and his old classmates, they got a job from Coder Foundry. So our next guarantee that we give you is that you will receive a professional portfolio from Coder Foundry. And this is an SRS document where you'll recognize this once you get into your full-time job. Your boss or your client will hand you an SRS document that will tell you exactly how your application needs to function. And you need to take this SRS document and turn it to actual live code, turn it to an actual live application. Now, again, if you've been doing tutorials online, this is not what you experience. You've just been coding along with another person, building an application. That's great to get your feet wet. But at Coder Foundry, we really want you to learn how to be professional. So this is what we give you in order to get you started on your project. Of course, we teach you the patterns and how to use the software and how to code. But we want you to actually be able to take this and run with it. Abigail says that that this structure was specific enough so she knew what the goal was, but flexible enough so she had room to explore other concepts along the way. And where's Abigail working now? I mean, I'm sorry, how long has Abigail been working now?
Yeah, so I placed Abigail back in summer of 2016 with an employer out of Virginia, and she's still currently employed there, thriving and doing really well, has done really well on site.
Awesome. And Natasha, can you tell us what we're looking at here?
Yeah, so this is basically the landing page for the bug tracker. So an individual will have a bug tracker description of what the bug tracker is going to entail. Of course, the admin, the project manager, the developer, and each category has different pieces of it that has requirements that they can access and they cannot access depending on the rights within the application. So this is just the landing page of a current student who's done an excellent job for us. The next page again is also the bug tracker. Here you can see it's a hyper focused of project manager status along with the items that are due. If you can see there, the past due, the new items, the new progress, all of that is coded on the back end. So you're using C# to populate those functions. And this is what you practice on Monday mornings during the interview is you're practicing this demo. You're practicing what it means and what you're trying to display within your bug tracker to the hiring manager to show them that, hey, I coded this and this is the functionality of it. Nicholas quotes here, speaking to his portfolio, just the background that he had coming out of New York. He was so impressed with the Monday morning interviews and the value it added because he had 11 practices of practical interviews so that when he left the program, he landed with a large publishers clearinghouse out of New York. He landed there, but he gained the skills he needed during those practice interviews to be able to land the interview. Because that's one of the biggest things that devs run into is they know their code. I mean, they can code coming out of the program, but can they talk about it? Can they show a hiring manager what they've done and how they've done it? So that's super important.
Awesome. This is an example of the resume that we create for you. So we have a professional designer take your headshot and actually rework your resume and put it into this beautiful presentation. So employers, they're visual creatures just like anyone else, even technical employers. And they want to see not just a beautiful application that you've built, but also a beautiful resume that really represents you well. Don't worry about any of your background, about what you did in the past. We help to present that in the best light so that employers know the value that you bring to the table. And Natasha's a big part of that.
Yeah.
So next, job placement services. And I'll just hand it off to Natasha here to explain more of what we provide there.
Absolutely. Thank you. So the Washington Post let out an article that coding bootcamp graduates are earning more than computer science degree holders. And a lot of questions comes with that is why. And the why is the portfolio. The why is the practical application of code. And the why is the job placement service. And at Coder Foundry, that's where I focus. And that's what I've been doing for 3 years now, are taking these alumni out of the program and getting them that first entry job. I often tell them it's not about job number 1, but about job number 2. It's about getting out there, getting acclimated, and getting that exposure and that first experience as a developer working professionally. So what's the job placement process look like? So once you come to Coder Foundry, week 3, we're going to meet one-on-one, and we're going to talk about a couple things. But the 3 primary things that I need to know from each student that comes through our program is location, functionality, and compensation. I need to know where I can present you. I have employers all across the U.S. that I work with, literally from Oregon to Florida to New York and Maine. I need to know how open you are to taking that first step. I'm not saying you have to live in Maine forever, not saying you have to live in Florida forever, but are you open to looking at these areas, open to looking at that job? Of course, functionality. You may not know that answer in the week 3, and that's okay. Full stack development is where I need you to kind of focus on. But if you have a niche, more front end development, I need to know that. Or if you really just are more in that back end code, I need to know that too. The more transparency that you have with me, the better I'm going to be able to help you in transitioning from Coder Foundry to an active employer. And then lastly, compensation. I'm going to be very real with you too on expectations. There's a lot of figures that are thrown around in the marketplace as what your starting salary is going to be. We're going to define what that starting salary is, you and I individually, and then we're going to take that figure to market. So as I'm presenting you, you're going to know what you're being presented at, no less, no more. Of course, we can always, I shouldn't say no more, because we always do like try to get it as high as offers as possible for our graduates. But we both are going to be transparent on what your expectation is. So there's no surprises through the process. There are tuition payment options. So when a student applies to Coder Foundry, that is typically the first question they ask is, how am I going to pay for this? You can always pay out of pocket, but most students pay via our loan options. We have 2 loan providers that have done a great job for us in enabling students to come and join us. The first option is Meritize. Meritize is unique in that they allow a student's FICO score and GPA to be in consideration for acceptance. So let's say you've been in college and you have a 3.6 GPA. It's been maybe 5 years ago, but you can still kind of get a snapshot of that GPA. When you apply with Meritize, you would want to make sure that you include that GPA along with any of your financials for them to pull your FICO score. They also offer a $3,000 living stipend opportunity. So when you apply, you would make sure to put in the total cost of the tuition, which is $14,900, plus the $3,000 living stipend, which would be given to you in a lump sum that you would basically be baked into the tuition total amount. Climb as a second option. Now, Climb is more of a traditional partner, and they're a lot quicker on response time. So with our prep class approaching on April the 8th, if you apply today with Meritize, you would hear probably back by mid of next week. Climb, if you're ready to get started and you're really not wanting to go down the GPA route, Climb is your better option. Climb, you would apply today, and we would know by this afternoon what your results would be. They've been a great partner to us, and they offer a deferment. Both Climb and Meritize offers a deferment. 3 months while you're studying with us, your loan is deferred with the exception of an interest-only payment, which is typically less than $100. Then they also offer a 3-month additional deferment post-graduation. So you have a total of 6 months to learn and then to get a job before you're going to start paying back the full tuition cost of the loan. They appreciate and they understand the value of a boot camp, but what it takes to be successful. So the refund guarantee that Coder Foundry offers, I think, is probably one of the best things that I like to share with students. We have an LPAT that's required to students take before coming into Coder Foundry, but sometimes, you'll be in class and it's day 3 and day 5, and you're just like, this isn't what I thought it would be, or I'm not learning the way I thought I should. We have a full guarantee in the first 2 weeks. So for example, if you start with me on April the 8th, if on April the 19th, you're just like, this is just not for me, for whatever reason, your loan will be canceled. If you've gotten a loan, if you've paid in cash, your refund will be given directly to you, however form of payment you paid. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain in those first 2 weeks. I mean, it's just a trial basis of, hey, is this for me? Can I do this? And we'll help you kind of determine that too. There's a lot of red flags that we see in students and we've seen over the years. And we see them in the first 2 weeks. And we want to be real with you and honest with you and transparent of, we see this in you. We think you can be successful. Or if we see you struggling, we don't want to see you continue to struggle. So we'll have that conversation. And sometimes that conversation's hard. But it is part of what we offer is that refund guarantee. So just remember that whenever you get started. If you want to apply, you can definitely go to coderfoundry.com and apply. But if you want to go ahead and see what your financing options might be before technically applying, you can do that too. coderfoundry.com/financing. You can see Meritize and Climb's information there. Go on, apply, put your information in. You'll get your approval or get your next steps. And then at that point, if you're ready to talk with me more about how to proceed, then you can apply. So you can always go first to the financing option if that's the route you would rather take. And that's Coder Foundry as a whole. We hope that you will consider joining us. If you want to have a one-on-one conversation or come in for a tour, I'm available this week. Would welcome you to come in. And just thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.